The unpacking of Netflix's latest release, Baramulla, would have been an uphill task if it was not co-written and produced by Aditya Dhar. Before his directorial debut, Uri was only a troubled border town in Kashmir where an army base was attacked by terrorists in 2016. Today, it is remembered as the title of his hyper-nationalistic government propaganda film that released right before the 2019 general elections. Article 370 was only a provision that gave special status to J&K, which was later abrogated in 2019. Today, it is also the Yami Gautam Dhar starrer government propaganda film that released right before the 2024 general elections. Baramulla was just another city in Kashmir until this super political, supernatural thriller uses it to convey a personal message. His films provide more cultural and personal context to his settings instead of the other way around. The actual event is almost incidental to the stories that are being told. Fortunately, film criticism does not exist in isolation, and that helps the task of uncovering his latest release, Baramulla, marginally easier. Let's cut to insight. Major spoilers ahead. Baramulla opens with a magician who is looking for a volunteer for one of his acts that involves vanishing a child through a wooden cabinet. A little boy named Shoaib volunteers for this and disappears in no time. This prompts a grumpy audience member to uncover this trick, only to realize that the child has indeed disappeared, and this is way more than just a sleight of hand. Missing posters follow, along with a new cop stationed in Baramulla to crack this case. Manav Kaul plays DSP Ridwan Sayyed. He and his family, which consists of his wife Gulnar, their daughter Noori, and their son Ayan, receive an icy welcome by the locals of the town because, as a policeman, DSP Ridwan is representative of the state government. A government that many locals despise and a local populace that many governments find repulsive. The film is set in 2016 when the state government was a coalition between the local PDP and the national BJP. The film follows Ridwan's investigation as more children disappear in mysterious circumstances and a tense political environment. The setup is a familiar one for a supernatural thriller and a police procedural. A family haunted by strange sounds, foul smells, and creepy silhouettes in their new accommodation in an unfamiliar town. An old and mute house help acts suspiciously to make matters worse. DSP Ridwan's fractured personal life is soon affected by his courageous professional ventures. Present-day scenes are intercut with flashbacks that show that the character has a troubling past. The setting of the film adds well to the mood of the genre's setup. Ice-cold streets of Kashmir convey the gloom and depression of its characters amidst a series of child disappearances. White tulips are used as a motif to signify the purity and innocence of these children, which we learn is under threat. Even the local school is called Blooming Petals School. The light of the days is bleak and the dark of the nights is dense. Nordic thrillers have long used their setting to heighten the mood and atmosphere of their storytelling. The amplified sound design complements the frosty visuals as every creak of the door, the stairs, or the floor is pronounced not only as if the climate is wintry, but as if these are dialogues in themselves, intending to convey a note or beat of the screenplay. We even hear Kashmiri folk songs like Kathya Chukho play in the background, which was famously last heard in Laila Majnu, a film that used its setting effectively. The only missing link then is Sumit Kaul playing the resident Kashmiri antagonist. All of this is to say that the craft is undeniably captivating and crisp. Director Aditya Suhas Jambhale, who previously directed Article 370, manages to weave a thriller with socio-political overtones and magical realism with a commentary on the horrors of the ethnic cleansing of Kashmiri Pandits in the 90s. He buries his actual commentary in the visuals of a supernatural thriller for the longest time in the film and gradually unveils it in the final act, which is arresting and impactfully staged. The performances are serviceable even if the dialects of some of the actors is not rooted in the milieu. Now this could be the end of the review, but a lot of what the film and the makers stand for is wrapped in the blanket of this audio-visual spectacle. A Kashmiri Pandit himself, Aditya Dhar has always been interested in telling stories in and about the region. This time, however, the same team uses genre as a crutch to convey their politics instead of addressing the subject matter head on. This is a smart move and a sign of an evolving filmmaker. Even the casting of Baramulla is self-aware of its material. Manav Kaul is a Kashmiri Pandit himself who was born in Baramulla. His wife in the film is played by Bhasha Sumbli, who is also a Kashmiri Pandit. The film chooses to deploy these Kashmiri Pandit actors as local Muslim characters in order to make them realize the horrors of the ethnic cleansing of the 90s throughout the climax of the film. The same choice that was made in Article 370 with Yami's character called Zuni Haskar. But in its treatment, the film assumes an indifference of the local Muslim characters towards the plight of Kashmiri Hindus, especially at a time when this episode in history has been weaponized and used for unleashing wild propaganda and hate-fueled narratives in the society. I would say the makers of Baramulla are oblivious if they were not part of the problem. Martin Scorsese said that the most personal is the most creative, but an update to that quote would be that the most personal can also be the most destructive if ill-timed. The makers lack an awareness of the current times and are only empowered by it. The climactic messaging of the film, unintentionally or intentionally, but dangerously, straddles the notion that the minority community needs to go through the horror that was unleashed in the 90s on the Kashmiri Pandits to understand the magnitude of it. That some of the people living in the valley are beyond repair and blinded by religious superiority and hate for the rest of India. In depicting the kids of the valley being radicalized and recruited for anti-India activities, it forgets to notice that the kids of plains and plateaus are being radicalized against a section of society throughout the nation. Its understanding of history's personality is exploitative instead of being explorative or expressive. I suspect that the fractured relationship between DSP Ridwan Syed and his daughter Nuri Syed, played by Arista Mehta, is a conceit for the fractured relationship between the Indian government and the people of Kashmir. Their backstory and past trauma reinforces this suspicion. But even if that is a deliberate choice, it is counterintuitive in a way that it depicts ownership of the people and the land of Kashmir instead of an egalitarian integration and collaboration. The writing is not looking to investigate the breakdown and lack of trust in that relationship. Much like the majoritarian opinion, the film is not interested in inclusive or constructive ideas. It only serves as an attractive and technically proficient vessel to further the existing stereotypes and assumptions. It wins as a supernatural thriller but loses on all other fronts. If only the storytelling was not clouded by the right-wing politics of its makers, they would be able to see that history is repeating itself in the form of revenge. But just like the final twist of the film, I feel that the messengers are the masterminds themselves. Do let me know what you thought of the film in the comment section, and do not forget to like and subscribe to the channel.